pandemic, which is fewer than most U.S. states. Hurricane Iota was deadly as well as destructive in Nicaragua. The country's vice president says the storm killed 6 people there. Iota has been downgraded now, but is still causing some catastrophic flash flooding as it moves across Honduras. It's expected to weaken near El Salvador today.
A second day of strikes for nurses and staff at a suburban Philadelphia hospital. Hundreds took to the streets over low staffing levels and rising coronavirus cases. Nurses from St. Mary's and Langhorne are picketing in shifts of about 100 people at a time, which is a fraction of the 800 who were striking there. Nurses say there's a critical staffing and safety problem, not only locally, but also across the country where COVID cases and deaths continue to rise.
Right now, we have agency nurses in that hospital from all over the United States. We don't know if they've been COVID tested. They haven't been quarantined. And frankly, I am very concerned about what's going on in there right now.
Nurses say deep cuts in staffing have jeopardized everyone's safety and hurt the level of care needed to help all patients.
A Florida sheriff's office has released this dashcam video showing the shooting death of 2 black teenagers there. The video captures the moments leading up to the death of 16-year-old A.J. Crooms and 18-year-old Sincere Pierce. It happened November the 13th. Authorities say 2 officers were investigating a possible stolen car, and you can see deputies riding through this neighborhood following a silver sedan as they roll through the neighborhood. They go slow, they stop and go, but the car then eventually pulls into a driveway where it's cornered by these officers. One officer can be heard on the video yelling several times, "Stop the vehicle." The vehicle then tries to take off, and those 2 officers open fire. Those 2 deputies are now on paid administrative leave while the sheriff's office investigates. Boeing 737 MAX set to carry passengers again, the FAA giving that approval just today. Boeing was forced to ground the 737 MAX for 20 months after 2 air crashes, killing nearly 350 people. Boeing has spent $600 million for pilot training and software upgrades as they work to make the 737 safe to fly again. However, the pandemic effect on air travel and remaining questions about the airplane safety will likely impact future sales.
Carnival Cruise Lines putting a pause on U.S. travel until the end of January. That means no Carnival ships will be leaving any U.S. ports until at least January 31st of next year. But many Carnival cruises will be on hold even longer into the new year. The earliest sailing date would be after March 26th for the Carnival Legend line out of Tampa. Carnival and other cruise lines have been following CDC guidelines to try to figure out when it may be safe to set sail again. So we'll just have to dream of tropical vacations for now. People are watching more TV than ever. Now the prices are going up. Coming up, we'll tell you how much and how you can still save.
And we are expecting...
Warnock is for us.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message.
A spacewalk just ended within the last half hour at the International Space Station. 2 Russian cosmonauts ventured out after 11 o'clock this morning to service the ISS, and it was the first spacewalk for both. The main goal was to relocate an antenna.
Would you like to go on walkies? Sit.
All right, there it is, a new tune you can add to your playlist for your dog. Raise the Wolf, the first Christmas single written specifically for man's best friend, made using scientific research into how dogs interact with sound. Laura, just amazing.
And early footage of dogs listening shows they apparently love it. Dog food company Tails.com says they played more than 500 sounds to a focus group of 25 dogs to watch their responses. But raise the woof. I mean, I like it. I'm jamming.
I respect the fact that they gathered a focus group of dogs to test it out.
I know.
Hey, I think they're onto something there. I think most pups that go wild, they hear treat, walk, anything like that. For the weekend, looking good for camping. Highs in the 70s, lows in the 40s. We'll have a look at that 7-day for you coming up.
About the 2 owners of the First Love personal care homes.
They were shut down yesterday after investigators found deplorable conditions and ongoing fire safety code violations inside. All of their taxpayer-funded as well. I-team industry and courtrooms across the 2 states.
This all started when 2 female patients at the First Love personal care home on Brightsboro Road passed away.
last month. Extreme heat may have played a factor in their deaths. Documents we obtained from the county show heat coming out of the vent was measured about 140 degrees. Their autopsies are still pending, but ever since then, the problems for the owners, a married couple, have been mounting. The I-Team saw owner Carol Lisenby at the scene hours after the two residents of her First Love personal care home on Wrightsboro Road died in October. While she waited in her car, we attempted to talk to her. What happened?
We don't know.
You don't know?
I had a couple of deceased this morning. We don't know if it was outside the
Did you walk in there and...
my worker called me.
Okay. Are you the owner? Okay. I'm Liz, by the way, so it would be okay if I talked to you for a minute?
I'd rather not right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. According to the Georgia Secretary of State's website, Carol and her husband, Sammy Lisenby, opened the First Love personal care home as a nonprofit back in 2007. Carol is the CEO and Sammy is listed as the CFO. The couple is pictured here on Carol's Facebook page, where she also says she works as a healthcare worker. The I-Team cross-checked records and found the Lisenbys created the business while in between two bankruptcies across state lines. We found Carol and Sammy Lisenby first filed for bankruptcy in Tennessee in 1998, then in Augusta in 2011. 4 years after opening First Love, they filed for bankruptcy again. The I-Team found records that show there have been more than 20 judgments or liens filed against them. We also found the couple has a history of owing back taxes locally and to the feds, as well as civil lawsuits filed against them. The money trail is something the Richmond County District Attorney's Office is also working through. Prosecutors canvassed the Lisenby's businesses with 6 agencies Tuesday as part of Operation Love, looking for evidence of possible financial crimes. Investigators are now working to follow the money, especially since workers say they make as little as $3 an hour.
So they're very underpaid and they're very scared because they've been thrust into this situation. Suddenly we show up with a search warrant and they've actually been put in a pretty tough situation just trying to make some money.
Investigators are also looking at who they hired in the first place. Earlier this year, investigators issued warrants on these sisters who worked at First Love. According to an internal email from the DA's office, both Harrison sisters have multiple felony warrants and have been allowed to stay in the care homes. I am trying to wait until COVID dies down, but we can't wait forever. During the sweep yesterday, another wanted woman was found working and living at First Love. Andrea Myers was arrested. She was wanted on fraud and financial crime warrants in South Carolina. Investigators also found Myers' 2 children living inside, surrounded by filth, including bed bugs, numerous of fire violations, and a locked refrigerator. At least 9 residents were relocated out of First Love during the raid.
The people deserve better. They're paying a lot more money than you'd think they were, combined with their own pensions and Social Security. Plus whatever Medicare they might be getting. Some of these people are paying $1,500 a month to live here.
We not only found a history of financial problems, but we also found a very long history of violations both on the state and county level, some dealing with life and safety issues, others with patient care. Still no word on when those results for the autopsies on those 2 patients will be back. Liz Owens, on your side.
And so often we ask, how can something like this happen? Well, Liz just laid out a pretty well-documented pattern of problems leading up to this.
And as the investigator pointed out again in that story, those people were paying a lot of money for the privilege of living there. So I'm sure Liz is going to stay on that for us. To weather now, as we have a live look outside at downtown Augusta. Off in the distance there, the city lights, the Augusta Canal, that dark strip there in the foreground. Riley, heading for a cool night tonight.
Definitely going to be, Richard. We're already seeing some spots already into the 40s here just after 6 o'clock. Thompson's coming in at 48. Washington up in Wilkes County, 46. For us here around the metro, we're still in the mid to low 50s. But by tomorrow morning, we are expecting those lows down near freezing for most of the area. Through this evening, if you're planning on stepping out the next few hours, temps once again already into the 40s and working our way into the 30s by the time we get to around midnight. Now, we do have clear skies out there tonight, and we are expecting, we are going to see another flyover of the International Space Station. This one starts at 6:13 tonight. It's not going to be quite as high as the one we saw last night, but it is going to last a little bit longer. So if you have a good, clear vantage point of the sky, should be a good one. Have a look at some warmer weather by the weekend in just a little bit.
We have a view now from above of a deadly crash today on Atomic Road. You can see that 18-wheeler there blocking off almost the entire intersection of Sheridan Drive. We're learning the person who died was 66-year-old Harry Thomas Jr. of Hepzibah. We're told he was driving a Chevy Tahoe that collided with that tractor trailer. The scene out there now, they say, is now cleared up.
A marathon meeting last night that went on more than 4 hours to try and figure out how kids will learn in Aiken County with the holidays coming up. The new plan means kids will be completely virtual for the 3 days next week before Thanksgiving break starts.
And now the board is working on a 3-tiered system to decide how different schools will be learning. A lot of you have questions, and Brady Trapnell went to find answers.
There are more than 1,200 students and staff quarantining across Aiken County Public Schools. But it took a 4-hour board meeting to bring some significant changes.
I still feel like an elementary.
Aiken County made it 2 weeks with everyone on a 5-day schedule. The situation is different now.
In the last 2 weeks, we've had a tremendous spike in quarantine numbers.
Mike Rozier with the school district says that's not the only reason they're making changes. They're also struggling to find substitute teachers.
I think going remote next week will alleviate some of that because we can't have classrooms that are not staffed.
Here's the new plan. Monday through Wednesday next week, all students will learn remotely. Then when they come back from Thanksgiving break, elementary students will go 4 days in person. Middle and high go back to their AB hybrid schedule.
We're not even giving parents a week's time to make arrangements. It's very difficult.
Heather Ely's child is in the Aiken Innovate program this semester, but parents had to decide last week if they would stay virtual.
I wish they had at least given us a chance to say, okay, at the end of the break, when we come back, we need a decision from you.
Some parents expressed their thoughts on social media, one saying she needed her kids to go 5 days a week, another asking them to put safety first. Aiken County says they're trying to do that, and they're working on a new data system to decide when to change their learning model.
And just trying to figure out that threshold, so that we can have maybe some parameters.
The school system says these numbers will have to go down before they can make any significant changes for next semester, and they say they're working on getting more laptops to students over the next few weeks. Reporting on your side, I'm Brady Trapnell.
Just so many headaches to sort through. There's really no winning outcome in this, but Aiken County says they understand the frustrations, but they say knowing how many students will be face-to-face isn't something that can change on a weekly basis due to their staffing problems, but their intention is not to change back and forth because they know it's just not sustainable for families.
In Richmond County, the school board says the plan is still to return to in-person learning after the Thanksgiving break, but school leaders and teachers are worried about many of the kids who've chosen to be virtual this entire school year. Kennedy Harris live for us at the board office downtown. And Kennedy, the district shared some surprising numbers about kids who are failing.
Challenges for virtual learning continue in Richmond County, and now the board says the number of virtual students failing brings concerns about student engagement. At Tuesday's meeting, the board discussed the higher number of virtual students without a passing grade for the first quarter. In total, over 21,000 students did not receive a passing grade, and of that 21,000, over 16,000 were virtual students. One parent I spoke with says his daughter is doing very well online, but he has noticed her engagement with the class and with her teacher are not quite the same as when she was learning face-to-face.
Don't know if it's her fault or the teachers at that point because, they get the bad posture, they slap because they got the laptop in front of them. Their personal appearance is just gone. They're not trying to sit up. They're not trying to interact. They're just trying to do whatever. They're just trying to get through the day, like any kid. Who wants to stare at that screen all day?
And tonight at 11, I'll have more on how the district plans to bridge the gap for engagement with virtual learners.
And I know parents are anxious to hear their ideas. Kennedy, thanks very much.
This is what the new Boys and Girls Club headquarters in Augusta will look like. A community center is also going here to serve the Harrisburg and Laney Walker neighborhoods. And we told you about that $10 million contribution and investment coming from Augusta National, IBM, Bank of America, and AT&T. But that area needs a lot of love. Will Rio looks at the struggles.
It's nonprofits like the one I'm at here at Harrisburg Family Healthcare that are helping serve the underserved community. and people don't have access to proper medical care, which is why they come here. And they say that people in this area of Augusta are struggling.
Harrisburg Family Healthcare has been serving the Harrisburg community since 2009.
We're open and we're seeing sick folks, and we're glad we can do that.
Just one hallway and these 2 rooms serving an entire community. They're a nonprofit health clinic that provides free doctor's visits for people.
The services we provide are for patients who do not have medical insurance and cannot afford to go to a physician's office.
Almost all their patients are poor and uninsured, which means they don't have access to health care.
Having a medical clinic, a family practice clinic in the middle of an underserved community is a blessing.
But in this building, they are limited with what they can do. That's why that $10 million investment is a dream come true.
It's something that we have hoped for many years, to be able to expand our reach in the Augusta community.
They say this new facility will change how they provide care to the community.
The clinic is based on a model that uses volunteers and volunteer physicians and other medical professionals. And so what this will allow us to do is hire staff who can be there no matter what. That changes everything for us.
Jones says they're looking to add childcare and a mental health clinic to help expand their reach in the community.
Harrisburg Family Healthcare says that they want to open 5 days a week, and they want to help as many people around the CSRA as they can. Reporting in Augusta, Will Rio, on your side.
And Harrisburg Family Healthcare also partners with Augusta University to help train future doctors. They say this new facility will help with more real-life scenarios.
We wanted to give you some perspective on COVID-19 hospitalizations right now in the area. This graph shows how many patients our hospitals have been treating in-house since the 1st of October. AU Health, University, doctors, Aiken Regional all have more COVID patients now than they did on October 1st. And you can see both AU Health and Doctors Hospital have recently been trending up. We have not gotten an update from University since Monday.
South Carolina's top public health officials.
Well, it's almost that time of year again. We're just 3 days away from seeing and hearing those bell ringers outside stores across town. But the Salvation Army is expecting a big hit from their Red Kettle fundraiser. The Salvation Army of Augusta telling us today they're in desperate need of more bell-ringing volunteers. That's why next week they're going to be holding a virtual Red Kettle concert to hopefully make up some of that money. If you want to volunteer or learn more about the concert, go to our website and search Salvation Army.
$25,000 will now be going to a local school thanks to your votes. This is Westminster Schools of Augusta a little earlier today, accepting this massive grant from the State Farm Neighborhood Assist program. We told you about Westminster. They were in the final 200 to get this grant to create a robotics league for schools to compete.
Yeah, people were allowed to vote up to 10 times a day, and when voting wrapped up, Westminster cracked the top 40 nationwide. Westminster says they hope the Robotics League can bring schools together, so we'd like to add our congratulations to them. And I know a lot of students will benefit here locally.
Absolutely. Those kids are so smart, too. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
All right, looking at Grovetown. Look towards where you see Grovetown I-20, that little blue box. Look to the right of it. That's the International Space Station moving over the CSRA. Have a look at a cold morning tomorrow coming up.
Very cool. And we all love a good, unlikely animal friendship story. And that's just what we have for you next between this dog and a horse. We'll take you to Aiken. We're 1 minute away from that story.
This is just the story 2020 needs. A dog and a horse, now best friends. And this friendship is right in our backyard in Aiken. This dog, Meadow, is getting her daily bath from her best buddy, Bruno.
And you know what? I think Meadow is loving it. But this dog has been through a lot to get there. Nick Proto shows us what she's gone through to meet her new best friend.
This is Meadow. She was the longest resident at the Aiken County Animal Shelter. About a year ago, she got adopted, and she gave her new owners a big surprise when she got here.
She has been one of the best dogs I've ever had.
When Meadow was brought into the Aiken County Animal Shelter, she'd been living outside for 5 years. Overbred and unwanted, she got passed over time and time again.
She didn't show well in the kennel, in the cage, and that's something thing we always say to people, give them a chance, because, who wants to be in a cage?
Miller and her husband gave Meadow that chance. They own dogs and horses in Aiken, and they were curious to see how Meadow got along with the much bigger animals.
Most of our dogs just keep their distance from, but Meadow wanted to be with them, and we were really worried. We thought, is Meadow going to get hurt? Is she going to get kicked?
Not only did she not get hurt, she made a new friend, 14-year-old Bruno. The two became best friends, and Meadow even goes to Bruno for a daily grooming.
And when he first started doing it, I thought, oh my God, he's going to step on her. But he didn't. He respects her space, and he'll lick where her eyes are. I thought I was going to poke her eye out. Nuh-uh. Just like a little baby, just licking her.
Miller's owned dogs and horses for a long time and says she hasn't seen anything like the bond Bruno and Meadow have.
Never in my lifetime, and I'm old. never.
From unwanted,
selfishly, I'm glad they made a mistake, so I got it.
To unconditional love. In Aiken, Nick Proto, on your side.
Okay, that is now in the top tier for my favorite story of the week. That is everything this year needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it just takes a while to find the perfect home, but that dog absolutely did. The Aiken County Animal Shelter is having a Black Friday event this weekend. That's coming up on Saturday from 9 in the morning until 4:30. Call the shelter if you'd like to make an appointment to go, because there are a lot of dogs just like that that really need a home. Let's have a live look now at Aiken on this cool evening. And Riley, we're going to go from cool to cold.
I think we can get away with calling it cold tonight, Richard. We are expecting low temperatures down near freezing for most of the area. Our growing season is over for us here in Augusta, so that's why we don't have any cold weather alerts tonight into tomorrow morning. But our southern counties, they have not seen a frost just yet. So this is just put out. Once the growing season comes to an end, you see your first frost, you get a frost advisory, then after that, you're done with them. So these are our last 3 counties left for frost advisories, but everybody is going to be getting cold tonight, expecting mid to low 30s across the board. Could even see maybe even Saluda get briefly into the upper 20s just before sunrise tomorrow morning. So this is cold enough to just harm sensitive outdoor plants, protect those if you have them on your patio. Make sure your pets that are outside have plenty of ways to stay warm as well. Our high temperatures Thursday are expected to continue to be a little bit below average for this time of year. Mid to low 60s, mid 60s if you're along I-20 or south of that, and then the low 60s would most likely be found if you live in our northern counties of the CSRA. Car wash forecast looking good the next couple of days, hanging on to plenty of sunshine through Friday. By Friday afternoon, it will be a little bit warmer, and then we're going to continue that trend into the weekend with highs getting back above average Saturday and Sunday. But high pressure is sitting right on top of us. This is bringing us clear skies. Those winds are a little bit calmer as well, and that below average weather as we head into our Thursday morning. But as we head into the weekend, that is going to be moving off the coast, so our pressure is actually going to be going down once that is not on top of us anymore. What this can do is if you, say, have arthritis or if you're sensitive to any type of joint pain, this drop in barometric pressure over the weekend could be enough to maybe inflame your joints a little bit. So heads up with that, but high pressure the next few days should be not too many problems expected with joint pain the next few days. Heading into the weekend, we're expecting those high temperatures getting back above normal, mid-70s expected both Saturday and Sunday. Should see plenty of sun sticking around through the weekend. Now, Thanksgiving. That is 8 days away, so it's still a good ways away. This forecast can definitely change, but what I'm seeing in our longer range models doesn't look too bad. Right now it appears our high temperature is most likely going to be in the 60s, and it's trending in the drier direction, but there is going to be a front that moves through the middle of next week, so the eventual timing of that determines if we see rain Thanksgiving or not. But the next few days, lots of sun, temperature is going to be on the cooler side, but next week those temperatures look much more mild.
Thanks, Riley. He's back. Trevor Lawrence, back with
Approve this message.
Just into our newsroom, we're learning this house fire we told you about earlier today started with a space heater. That's according to Augusta Fire after speaking with someone who was living inside the house on Walker Street. An Augusta family is displaced after this fire started in an abandoned house next door and then spread to theirs.
We've got the 3 C's tonight: clear, cold, and calm. Expecting low temperatures down near 30 by early tomorrow morning. High temperature is going to be getting a little bit warmer the next few days. Should be hitting the mid-70s by the weekend. Fantastic weather, though, all the way through Sunday. Expecting plenty of sunshine, a little bit more clouds, and possibly some rain next week.
That's going to wrap it up for News 12 at 6 o'clock.
We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a great night.